Hello everyone, welcome to episode 31 of Last Minute FPL. This is the Gameweek 31 podcast. Hi Vikas, how are you?
Doing well. A lot of things happened since after our podcast. Probably we should start there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it, but I properly panicked and activated my wildcard with like 1 hour of thinking. I think in hindsight it was the wrong decision. Luckily, it didn't penalize me at all. But yeah, I think if I evaluate the reason I made it, I'm not even doing that. But yeah, we'll get into it more. Like we'll start with last week's points. So you got the most points despite the other two teams wildcarding. So you got 56. Yeah, I think the difference basically was Timber getting a clean sheet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Unfortunate.
pretty.
Unfortunate with Gabriel. Especially, it's annoying when that happens where the team gets a clean sheet and Timber got lucky. He went off with that injury, but then really, this week is pretty much summarized by just injuries and how it's kind of changed the fortunes of both this week and also kind of the upcoming weeks. Because I mean, looking at my team now, okay, Timber got those 7 points, but I really did not want to do anything drastic in game week 31. 32 was kind of always the plan to do a wild card. But just looking at this team now, you can see a lot of flags coming up there, and it's in a bad state at this moment. But
Yeah.
decent, okay week. I mean, 56, nothing great to shout about, but it's okay.
Yeah, actually,
I chickened out of the Marmoush captaincy when Salah. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, actually 57 because you got Aina off the bench as well. But yeah, I think good week for you. And like with the wild card to go, you're in a. I mean, it's a perfect situation to be in. Yeah, moving on to my team. So yeah, I think basically I was thinking about the assistant manager, and because there were 5 fixtures between 31 and 33. Um, Actually, no, this is the AI team. I am getting ahead of myself. But I thought the same thought process for the AI team as well. So it makes sense. But the AI team got 53 points. And I think the difference with the AI team was the team was in a bad state and it gained quite a lot with the wild card. Unlike my team, which was already well set up for game week 30. So yeah, I think this is a pretty much template wildcard team. The only decisions were maybe the backup keeper. It went with Martinez so that both game week 32 and 33 can be potential bench boosts. And game week 36 also there's an outside chance Villa may get a double. So you can always play Martinez because Raya has Liverpool away that week. So that's one good reason to have Martinez. Savinho did well, Marmoush. It didn't have Isaac as well. So those were the 3 players who returned, and like up to 20k. I think pretty good week and good decision to wildcard for the AI team. But I don't think I'll be activating the assistant manager for both my team and the AI team. And I'll go into that when we come to my team. But pretty unlucky with both Saliba and Raya getting 94th minute clean sheet losses. Yeah, I dodged Gabriel, but didn't get the double clean sheet in the end.
Savinho was a nice pick. I mean, it's a bit of a risky pick, but sure his minutes have looked good, but still a bit of a risky pick with players like Foden on the bench.
Yeah, Foden didn't even play a minute, so I'm not sure. And Savinho has actually started the last 6 or 7 games in a row, and like pretty much throughout the season, he's been starting in the first choice team. So at his price point, maybe it's worth the risk. Worst case, he'll come off the bench, and yeah, if it allows you to make some other picks, like basically it's Savinho versus players like Kluivert or Rogers, and like Kluivert doesn't have a double, so maybe it's worth the shot, especially with the Leicester game. For my team at least, I thought I'll attack game week 30. Yeah, so moving on to my team, very similar. The only difference is Gabriel went off even earlier. So it says like Timber, then there's Raya Saliba, and then there's Gabriel at the bottom of the pecking order. In terms of the players who came in, Isak came in, 8 points, Marmoush came in, Savinho came in. So those were the 3 who I brought in on the wild card. But I would have got Marmoush anyway. So for me, I think the reason I activated it was I got a bit excited and then there were price changes happening and I had to decide with like 1 hour thinking. And I thought 31 to 33, I have to go for table bonus if I need to catch people who are very ahead of me. And I thought it's okay. What's the big deal? Let me just go for it. But then, like, once I activated it, I realized that the 31 to 33, like, actually, even if I look at it in terms of risk taking, 35 to 37 actually has better AM potentials. Like, there's Palace versus Forest, City could get a double. So after I activated the wildcard and I started looking at the possible options, it made sense for me to do bench boost and free hit now. So yeah, a little disappointed there. In terms of the results, I'm exactly on the same points as I would be if I didn't do the wildcard, because I would have got Marmoush. And now I have the problem of having to deal with Gabriel's injury. And also, if I had waited, I would have probably got Saka instead of Palmer. So maybe one transfer behind, but it's okay. I mean, I did want to attack the City, Leicester and the Palace Southampton games. One of them came through, but Palace disappointing against Southampton. So if they had done well,
you transfer behind, but it also helped you get the team that you wanted with the price rises. So it's just a trade-off. But
yeah, I actually have 0.0 in the bank. But then, I mean, I would have done Saka instead of Palmer. So I would have afforded it anyway. Maybe I would have... But yeah, I got like 0.4, 0.5 rises that I couldn't have got earlier. And also, yeah, Isak was someone I was scared of as well, because I didn't own him, and anyway, you need him for the upcoming doubles. But now he's yellow flag too. So let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm planning a game week 32 bench boost. So yeah, I think a lot of things changed since I spoke in the previous video. Cool. But yeah, again, green arrow, highest rank I've been so far, end of this so far. So it's okay. Like, I'll take it. Cool. Let's look at some of the last week's games now. Yeah, I think what stood out to me was the Villa Brighton game, 3-0. Villa playing extremely well, looked like a top team. Rashford started up front, got a goal. And yeah, I think one thing is Villa with this result, their next game against Forest is not going to be table bonus. So they climbed to 6th in the table. And they have a lot of cup competition. So I'm expecting some rotation in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and with Watkins not starting, that again throws a little bit of a doubt with the double game weeks coming up, especially for those on a wild card, for example, now. Or maybe in 32, Watkins is definitely a player to target. And, you know, this game, as well as Villa play, it throws a doubt on those plans.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the other game I think was interesting was Man City Leicester. City dominated. First half performance was great. Marmoush getting 1.5 xg, got just the one goal, but he's clearly the main man. That was what was good to see. It wasn't like, you know, one of those wingers who keeps getting rotated in the Pep team. He was a striker. He played 90 minutes, pretty much what Haaland does. So happy about bringing him in.
Yeah. And the other result I think we should briefly touch upon, a big disappointment for a lot of FPL managers, is Southampton Palace 1-1. I think probably go into it later, but Palace coming off really strong performances and also good data. But as it happens, as soon as everyone swipes in, it just doesn't work out with Palace, does it?
Yeah, I think they really struggled to break down Southampton's defense. Like, Southampton sat back and defended narrow and very well. That shouldn't be the case in the next few games, because they'll be playing against teams that won't sit back. So it could at least play into the hands of their attack, if not the defense.
I'm worried about Palace. I feel like the best of Palace may be done, except for maybe like Mateta or someone. They do have tough fixtures in 32 and kind of 33. 31 is fine, but I'm saying this and I'm looking at 3 Palace players again. So I guess you just have to, given how the fixtures have kind of panned out.
Yeah, with double, even if they blank in all 4 games, you're looking at 4 points per player at that price point. And even if they get just 1 return, it's already going to be a double-digit haul. So, I mean, it's worth getting them. That's the advantage of the maybe 160 to 180 minutes that you'll get out of them. Even Bournemouth Ipswich was a surprise result, with Ipswich actually going ahead and winning. So I went from triple Bournemouth to triple Palace, and in the end, I think Evan Nilsson scored, but Savinho's points made up for that. And Van Dijk got a clean sheet, but then Isak's points made up for that. So it was like perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Cool, and Saka is back. I think we should talk about that. He came on and he scored. And
that's a big relief because I mean, if Saka was not there, I think I feel like the team was just not looking exciting enough. Like when I was setting up my wildcard, I would have probably again looked at maybe Palmer or like a single game week player. But I think having Saka back definitely feels like strengthening that wildcard team, especially with a lot of these like money spread around and 5.5, 6 million players all over the team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Palmer is still a good option next 2 weeks. He has Brentford and Ipswich in the next two, but like he hasn't set the stage on fire for a while. I was planning to move Palmer to Saka just before the double and give Saka time because they still have the Madrid Champions League games for which he'll surely be prioritized. But yeah, it's good to see that he's back and scoring.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move on quickly to the league table. Like a few updates at the top. AI team closing the gap to Conte to just 6 points. Top 4 very close, around 34 points in it. And Adarsh making a big jump with his wild card, 68 points, getting Luis Diaz in the team. But yeah, maybe a little bit far behind the top spot. Both of us also had green arrows. I moved up to 13th place from 15th, and you moved up to 30th place. So yeah, I mean, good.
Not bad. You're pretty close to the top 10. That's a very reasonable target for you this season.
Yeah, now there's about 30 points in it. And I was also looking at the probabilities of where teams will finish. And actually, so the AI team has a 31% probability of finishing first, and Conte has a 21% probability of finishing first, even though the AI team is second. Basically, and also I was looking at the expected finishing position, and like your expected finishing position is 28th, even though and it is the 30th best finish, but and mine is around 14.4, whereas the AI teams is 3.4. So yeah, I mean, I think at least we've risen from where we were early on in the season, and the AI team is in the title race, so good signs.
Yeah, and I think even Sampath has a pretty good chance of closing that gap. Of course, with the wild card in play and a lot of the chips, I think the top 4-5 anyone can take it. It's still pretty open.
Yeah, agreed. And assistant manager to Adarsh as assistant manager, so he can like really make a big jump, and I think he's gonna play it this week because he has only 2 Palace players, so I think he's planning to do something in the double.
Exciting.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on to the next week and the teams to target. So Tottenham is playing Southampton. That seems to be the most attacking fixture, but I don't think Spurs players are as exciting as the fixture they have. Also, they'll be prioritizing Europe, so I don't think any of us will be going for them. Out of the players that most people have, Newcastle against Leicester seems to be the fixture to go for. Hopefully, Isak is fit. But yeah, I think Newcastle and even Chelsea and Liverpool are rated pretty highly, but not above 2xg. So it's not as good of a game as typically it is.
Yeah, I think Newcastle, it's a perfect time to kind of jump on Newcastle because of Leicester and the double. And both the doubles are home fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think those looking to wildcard, that's the advantage of going this week, is to jump on Newcastle.
Yeah, agreed. And also Liverpool and City have decent fixtures. Like Salah, it's maybe a decent week to bet against Salah. Of course, we're talking right after a blank. And it can always be scary to go against him. But if Isak is fit, it's a good option, I feel.
Yeah. What do you think about the Man United Man City game? Do you think there's some with people having a lot of City players, maybe there's some benching headaches? I think at least I'm facing that in my team. Given how Man United played, what do you expect there?
Yeah, I mean, I think United are very unpredictable, but so are City this year. They're not as reliable as they typically are. It will be one of those derby games. Like I remember back in the day, Liverpool would never challenge for the league, but they'd turn up against us. I think of in the last 2 3 years, United are kind of doing the same. Even under Ten Hag, they won the FA Cup final and they beat Liverpool in the semis. So they could turn it up. Like I wouldn't, if it was a peak Pep City, I would have said, City is very reliable. I think it's okay to bench City defenders or maybe someone like a Savinho, especially if like you're playing Newcastle players against Leicester. So I think that's a fair shout. Or even like someone like a Munoz, he's playing so far attacking. I think he can get points both in attack and defense. So I wouldn't mind benching
Guardiola.
Guardiola is a tough one, but yeah, I think that's what the AI team is actually doing this week.
Interesting.
We should check that. But basically, it has a fit Saliba. So yeah, I think it's an option. But even if you look at the clean sheet odds, City are only 25%, and there's so many teams above them in the odds. So
Palace are also 25%. City and Palace are 25%, and City are more projected goals than Palace. So at least the projections here seem like, slightly favor City, but of course then it boils down to kind of individual players as well. Like what percentage of this goes to a certain player, like Munoz.
Yeah. I mean, Munoz is basically he's basically a winger at this stage, and also like you have to look at how Brighton have been playing. They've not been that great, and Palace beat them away 3-0 in the FA Cup as well. But then again, Brighton, you can't really predict it. I think you just go with your gut. It's a tough it's a benching headache for sure. Yeah, and in defense also, Arsenal and Newcastle right up there. 46% for Arsenal. Last week also it was around 50%, but they conceded a late goal. Hopefully, they managed to keep a clean sheet this time. Cool. And yeah, for those activating assistant manager, yeah, I saw some very interesting thing here. Like Emery was very close to getting table bonus against Forest. If you look at the win percent and draw percent of Villa against Forest, it's adding up to 73%. Like I've not seen something that high. Almost like if that was a table bonus, I might have gone ahead and activated the AM because that's ridiculously high. But still, if you look at the first two here, or maybe even the first three, all have above 50% chance of table bonus. Like Graham Potter has 58% chance against Bournemouth, and Bournemouth haven't won since Gameweek 25. But again, yeah, it is the risk. Like I think this is the nature of table bonus games, right? Like you are going to have to take a risk. And even Brentford against Chelsea is 55% of some table bonus. I think Glasner got his table bonus with 43%, right? And like he got two in a row. One was 43% and one was 53%. So I think if it's above 50%,
the top two games, like the West Ham, Bournemouth, and the Brentford, Chelsea game, both look pretty good. Honestly, if you're playing AM this week.
Yeah, and if you're a United fan who wants some more pain, like Amorim has a 54% chance, and I think next week they play Newcastle. So back to back, you can go for table bonus and get 0 points. Cool. Moving on to the fixture ticker. So this assumes that you're playing a free hit 34. We also have one where you don't have the free hit. But yeah, I think the teams to target are clearly the ones with the doubles. So City, Palace, Villa, Newcastle, and Arsenal. I think they make up pretty much the entire wildcard team and like Salah probably.
I think we do have to point out that in some of these doubles, the time period between the games is very short. It's like 2 days or something, right? In both the doubles. So, as always, I think we should expect some level of rotation. Most of these double game weeks, they never pan out in the sense that, in the way we want, that is getting 180 minutes, probably ends up being more 120 or so for most players. That's what worries me about Palace, because with the short turnaround, if they, with these fixtures, if they are not going to get at least 160, 140, 150, then that it's just not good.
Yeah, but I mean, currently, yeah, and that applies to Villa as well. Like Villa, Palace, both have cups to worry about. They'll care more. I mean, especially for both of them being in the FA Cup and in the semis, and City being the only team, and a weak City, so they'll prioritize it. And Villa's even in the Champions League, playing against PSG in the quarters, which is a huge game for them. So very unpredictable for sure.
I really like City because City are chasing for the Champions League. So I really like City and they're generally playing well. I like Newcastle because, again, they're going for the top 4, top 5 Champions League spots and they have great fixtures. But like you said, I mean,
even Arsenal.
Villa also, like you can say, they are in the chase. They have something to play for. Crystal Palace do not. Like they have nothing to play for in the league. So
Yeah.
Crystal Palace worries me more than the other teams.
Yeah, even Arsenal, like I think especially around the Real Madrid games, I could easily see them giving extra rest to players. But yeah, I mean the alternative to Palace is not really exciting either. Like even if you like look at Gameweek 33, Bournemouth and Arsenal, like who like would you go for a Brighton player who has Brentford, or like would you go for West Ham or Southampton? Like they're not so exciting even if these players have 1.5 games or 1.2 games, and especially the fact that they have back-to-back doubles, like there's no one else who, like they'll have 2 games, so out of 4 games, even if they play 2.5 or 3 games, it's already more than
I think very
most
feasibly,
teams.
if you're just looking at the single game week players for 33, it's Liverpool. I think that Leicester is a great fixture for Liverpool. Salah maybe a double up with Diaz or someone else who's looking good at that point in time, and maybe West Ham against Southampton because Southampton is just big boys, so like a Bowen, for example, or
Yeah, I
And
think
so those are the 2 teams I think to target, looking at maybe sacrificing a Sarr or someone from Palace as an alternative.
I think Liverpool makes sense because you need 32 and 33, like 2 doubles you're comparing to. So West Ham will have Liverpool away and doesn't make so much sense. But yeah, if you can afford someone like a Diaz instead of Sarr, which is a bit of a price upgrade for sure. Maybe if you have Eze and you can get Jota or Diaz, then they have West Ham at home and Leicester away, which I think that's what Adarsh has done in his team. And that's why he's going to activate the AM on Palace, I think, and have the extra Liverpool midfielder, which is a great point. Cool. Yeah, let's move on to what if you don't have a free hit 34, then you're probably going to have to wildcard 34. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to navigate 33 and 34 because everyone who has doubles in 33 blanks in 34. So you're basically just looking at the next 3 game weeks, and yeah, I think this is not sorted by difficulty, but it's pretty much the same teams. Like you dead end your team into 33, that's the only difference. And like we said, the teams that are doubling, and probably Liverpool is what I would look at.
Agree. Yeah. This is tricky, like you said. I mean, but it's a valid strategy. Especially with the fact that I think 35 previously there were some concerns about additional doubles in 35 for the ones and 33. Given that's not the case, yeah, the teams to target, I think you just dead end your team, like you said, just maximize the possibility of what you can get out of 32 and 33, irrespective of how the team goes. I'm wondering, is there some sort of a strategy possible where you, for example, you just like wildcard now. You wildcard now, that is in 31.
No,
you
but
wildcard in 31.
These are people who already have. Oh, okay, fine. You're saying wildcard now and navigate 33 and 34. Okay.
Navigate 33 and 34. I don't know. These are more complex strategies, but I guess this is the most feasible out of the.
Yeah, because I mean, in 33, even if you have even like currently you and I will have like 11 or 12 doublers in 33. And so even if you have 7 or 8 and they're all blanking.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
because
all blanking.
I think a lot of us are having single game week players for one of the bench boost weeks.
Yeah, like because there's only 4 teams that are doubling. But what I'm saying is, even if you have 7 or 8 doublers in 33, you'll have 7 or 8 blankers in 34, and that's very difficult to navigate. So you'll either have to sacrifice on your game week 33 double, or
I think yeah, the thing to do while cutting now would be going for those that Liverpool player or West Ham, like just even though they have a tough fixture in 32, they have a good fixture in 33.
yeah.
So I think going that way is probably another option potentially.
Yeah, but you'll probably lose out on a lot of points in the middle, because by wildcarding in 34, you can still set yourself up for the I mean, that obviously depends on how your team looks now. If your team is in a decent shape and you're able to build teams with um, transfers till 33, of course, you won't have as many doublers as those who wildcard. But like, you can focus your transfers on maybe some Newcastle players right now, or ignore Newcastle and go for the ones who are doubling in 33. You have to pick your battles for sure. Yeah. Cool. I also looked at the team stats for the last 6 game weeks. So this is the attacking stats. So goals on the x-axis and xg on the y-axis. Yeah, I think interesting to see that Brighton and Palace are keeping up pace with Liverpool in attack.
Yeah, Palace very impressive. I think definitely helps validate that triple Palace, and makes me feel good at least getting them in. Although they've always burnt me in the past, so definitely like very surprising to see them that high in the XG data here. Of course, it does also show that they're overperforming. They're underperforming their data. So I don't know. I don't know whether the Palace are very swingy. At some point in time, they're like in the middle, and then they swing to one side. It's very possible that they just swing back. They're a very swingy team, so it's very hard to judge the trend with them.
Yeah, there's a reason why they keep getting table bonus games, because they somehow make sure they're in the bottom half every season. They beat all the big teams. Somehow they're in the bottom half. I don't know how they do it. Big cluster in the middle, but what's interesting here is to see Forest so low in terms of creation. They've gone below 1 xg created per game, but they're somehow grinding those results and keeping that top 4 spot. I think they'll do their best to drag themselves to at least some European place for sure, but Champions League would be insane.
Yeah.
And everyone else is pretty...
Target for clean sheet, clearly Southampton as always, and West Ham seems like the current trend.
Yeah, everyone else is pretty much in a cluster in the middle. Like even City have improved a bit, and Bournemouth have dropped off quite a lot. Bournemouth and Chelsea, and also Arsenal is not creating all that much. Hopefully that will change with Saka.
Yeah. It's also surprising to see Brighton so up high, because as a Mitoma owner, I certainly haven't been on the receiving end of any of this XG that Brighton has been accumulating, or goals.
Yeah, I think Joao Pedro got a couple of goals recently, but yeah, I'm surprised to see they're scoring more than two per game. Cool. Let's look at the defense now. Yeah, once again, Southampton outlier on the top. Leicester and Ipswich still doing badly. In defense of Palace, Liverpool and Arsenal have the best defenses in terms of XG and goals conceded.
I feel this is where I'm more comfortable with Palace, which is defense. Where for a long time they have had pretty good defensive data, long time. So I personally I feel more comfortable with like a Munoz, especially given his attacking potential, than Sarr. I think Mateta I'm fairly okay because he's on penalties and he has these bursts of scoring. So very nice to see Palace maintaining that data here. Also nice to see Southampton still the team to target. Very consistent in their performance.
Didn't work with Palace. But actually, one thing with Palace though is the fixtures in the double are very tough. So I don't know if they'll be able to keep clean sheets. And another downside is Mateta got subbed 58th minute. Like he's just coming back from injury, so I hope it's because of that. He started the season also playing around 50 to 60 minutes, so it's a bit confusing. Newcastle haven't been such a great defense, looks like, and I'm currently planning to bench a City defender for a Newcastle defender.
Yeah, but I think that's more of just like playing Leicester and Southampton being the whipping boys of the season. I wouldn't be worried. And Newcastle definitely not looking good in this chart, but I think for this week they're okay. Um, but having said that, I really, I mean, I don't know if I'll play Livramento beyond this week, apart from, of course, the bench boost.
Yeah, but City's defensive stats look really good. They're conceding less than 1 goal a game, less than 1 xg a game, which is pretty good. Cool. Let's look at the position-wise predictions now. So this is the next 4 game weeks, but of course, if you're free hitting in game week 34, then only the first 3 matter. But yeah, pretty much usual suspects. Isak, Mateta. I think Joao Pedro shows up because he has a fixture in game week 34. But yeah, and on the right we have the stats of the players. Mateta, Pedro, Isak topping the underlying data, and Marmoush and Gabriel Jesus, but anyway he's injured. A lot of injuries. No Haaland, no Chris Wood, no Havertz, no Jesus, and Isak is a doubt.
I think really it's just Isak, Mateta, Watkins, Marmoush that I've been looking at as someone currently considering wildcard. And even there are concerns with Isak and Watkins. So very, very slim options. I don't think Darwin, Gakpo, I'm very comfortable because, of the rotation and even targeting Liverpool. If I want to go on that strategy of targeting a few more extra Liverpool players for a single game week, I don't feel comfortable here at all.
Yeah, I think other alternatives are Evanilson and Joao Pedro. So Evanilson has good fixtures, 31, 32, 33, 34. So whenever you bench boost, whether it's 32 or 33, he has a good fixture. And like you can basically replace maybe Mateta with Evanilson and have a different midfielder. In like maybe you can have Eze and Sarr both, or a Liverpool mid. Joao Pedro also allows you the same. He has Southampton in game week 32. So if that's your bench boost, you can basically go with a 5 midfield that you play every week and bench Joao Pedro other weeks. But yeah, I think the big 3 strikers that you mentioned, barring injury, are clear.
Yeah, agree.
Cool. Let's look at midfielders now. Yeah, Saka is back and he's topping the underlying data. Salah, as usual, outlier in terms of returns. And this is the last 6 matches, so Saka's data will include whenever he played last. Palmer has dropped off in terms of returns, but his underlying data is still very high. And your favorite player Sarr is also showing up high in underlying, but like you said, in returns he's not doing so well.
Interestingly, the AI rates Eze more than Sarr, even though the underlying data of Sarr seems to be much, much better.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that, and it actually has Eze in the team, even though he costs 1 million more. But I think that's one of the key differences between my wildcard and the AI's wildcard. Also, I couldn't afford Eze, so I didn't even think about it. But yeah, I think maybe it's historical consistency or maybe conversion. But yeah. Anyone else that stands out for you in midfield other than the like Salah, Saka, Palmer, maybe Newcastle midfielders, Gordon and Murphy?
Yeah, I mean, I like Murphy. He's been pretty consistent, cost effective. Gordon could be good too, but just more expensive. Savinho, I think we spoke about as a good option. Shows up on the chart as well amongst like the curated set of players. Not great in terms of numbers, but still good and getting minutes for City. I really wish that Foden starts playing a part because that would definitely make things interesting.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, I think Gordon, only thing is he hasn't played for a while and he wasn't even on the bench, I think. So it will be interesting to see if he'll come straight back in the team. But he's also 7.5 million. It's pretty expensive. And Morgan Rogers is another good option because Villa's getting the double as well.
Yeah. But given the number of options they have with Rashford, Asensio, I know they don't threaten Rogers' position as such, but it just gives me a pause with how many games Villa do have.
Yeah, agreed. He's been a mainstay in their team so far, but you never know. When those doubles come is when the rotation typically kicks in. Okay, let's look at defenders now. Yeah, Munoz is clear in terms of returns. And Dallo is interestingly showing up. Maguire is showing up. There's a stat that Maguire had more expected goal creation than in stoppage time of the previous game than Hoyland in the last 6 games, which is a crazy stat. But yeah, anyway, he didn't score it. Yeah, Kukureya still showing up, but yeah, I think the standout is Munoz. Out of the cheap defenders, Hall is gone, and now Kirkes is a little bit expensive, so I'm not sure he'll be in wildcard teams.
Interesting to see Burn there because he was the other Newcastle defender I was considering with Livramento. I think it's just probably AI team is banking more on those headers than
No,
Livramento.
so the only thing is Burn is on 8 yellow cards, and yeah, like when I ran it last week, Livramento did show up ahead of Burn. So the AI team has Livramento, but now he's not there in the top 10. Yeah, and also yeah, like now Timber has crossed Saliba. So if it had gone last week, maybe that extra clean sheet pushed him up top for getting injured. But yeah.
Well, I do notice Timber went off with a minor injury. Not sure how major that is or if he's going to miss any minutes. Seems like he may not, but just something to point out.
Yeah. Yeah, Saliba is probably the safer pick, but Timber should play if he's fit because Gabriel seems to be out for the season. Okay, let's look at keepers also quickly. Yeah, I think keepers, there is something to discuss finally because many people are on wildcard.
We just skip it.
Yeah, we usually just skip it. I think Raya is clearly the first choice. Arsenal defense is stingy. Backup keeper really depends on your bench boost and how much team value you have. I think best option is Martinez because he has good fixtures in both 32 and 33, and like I said earlier, he could have a double in 36. So if you can afford him, go for it. Other options I think are Verbruggen and Areola because Areola in 33 has Southampton, so you can go really cheap on the bench if you're bench boosting 33. And Verbruggen if you're bench boosting in 32, he has a really good fixture. So I don't think, maybe Kepa as well I would consider because he also could get a double in 36, and I think he has decent fixtures in 32, 33. Nothing to be excited about bench boosting, but I think this year you're not going to be able to get 15 doublers in a bench boost.
I think it's just because of the fact that there are 2 double game weeks back to back. You just have to kind of optimize between the two, unfortunately.
Yeah, and only 4 teams doubling and 4 teams blanking is definitely a bit disappointing because even though Forest are technically blanking, their fixture got rearranged to the same game week. And like the results were also in such a way that they didn't need to, like 2 of the teams were already playing each other, like City and Villa. So it minimized the blanks and doubles, kind of minimizing the bench boosts potential. So I did put together a wildcard draft, like a template draft. I think around 12 or 13 of these players will probably match yours. We look at your team anyway. This is basically my wildcard team plus whatever I would do. So yeah, triple City, Mamouche, Savinho, Guardiola. Not entirely sure about Savinho's game time, but he got 9 points and he's only 6.2 million. Triple Palace with Mateta, Sarr and Munoz. Triple Arsenal with Saka, Saliba, Raya, and triple Newcastle with Isak, Murphy and Livramento. And yeah, I think the other players depend on when you'll bench boost. So Salah is a fixed option. Konza, Verbruggen and yeah, I guess Salah. That completes it. This is with an option of bench boost 32. If you're bench boosting in 33, you'll probably have Martinez or Areola as the backup keeper. And yeah, if you're bench boosting in 33, you probably want to do Murphy and Isak to someone like Rogers and Watkins so that you get more doublers. And if you have triple captain, I think Isak in 32 or Saka in 33 are good options. AM we've already spoken about. And yeah, free hit 34. That's what I think is the template moves.
I think I have a very similar team, except for I think 3 players. So very, very similar team. I still, this team looks good. I think it's definitely optimized towards, like you said, bench boosting in 32. But I don't think the team is going to be dramatically different to 33, like we spoke about. It's just a few players that we are changing here and there. I think it's good to be flexible. That's how I have so far built my team, but I'm still reconsidering whether I should very, very highly optimize for a bench boost 32 or a 33 team, or keep it a bit flexible for like injuries or something going wrong. So that's a decision that I'm still trying to make. But yeah, this is a good team irrespective.
Yeah, I think only thing with 33 is there's one more week in the middle where things have to be okay, and you might have to make transfers to keep that 15 in place. And especially because I was also wildcarding in 30, I thought 33 is like there's a pretty big gap. So it felt.
I think Isaac's fitness is going to be pretty important. Like if he's going to be out for a certain period of time, then that really kind of makes it a 33 bench boost for sure.
Yeah. I mean he's doubtful, which is I don't think it didn't sound like he was going to be out for a lengthy period. So even if he's comes off the bench in 31 or something, like with the double in 32, I think it's going to be tough to transfer him out. Like if the news is unsure, you'll probably not captain him if you're unsure, and maybe not triple captain him. But I think you're going to have to play him in the 11.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. We'll look at our teams now. AI team first. I think so. Yeah, so it is benching Guardiola and playing Saliba, Munoz, and Livramento. It was very close between Livramento and Guardiola for this game week, but I think Livramento was like 0.02 or something ahead of Guardiola. It's also benching Eze instead of Savinho. So one thing I had to make an executive decision with Savinho is I had to use, like, he's a new player along with Marmoush. So I had to use some historical, like I have a lookalike player. So for Savinho, I used Foden, which gave him really good stats, and he got picked almost instantly. And for Marmoush, I used Haaland, and that also meant he got picked immediately. But like the way the logic works is you have to find someone in that position who's been playing in that team. Ideally, it should be the same price range, but maybe for Marmoush, I should have used Alvarez instead of Haaland. But even he had great stats anyway. But yeah. So yeah, Savinho is expected to score more points than Eze, and Murphy as well because of the Leicester game. We'll keep an eye on Isak's injury. I think otherwise the team is pretty set.
And Brighton is kind of bad form, although they're really good in terms of attacking data. Palace is a good shot. Maybe what they missed out against Southampton will come true against Brighton.
Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, it is going to be a benching headache if you wildcard it. Like you have to bench one decent attacker and one decent defender at the very least. I already got 2 returns on my bench last week, with Konza keeping a clean sheet and Murphy getting an assist. So it's probably going to be a little annoying. Hopefully the bench boost at least works out after all that. So moving on to my team, similar decision, and I'm actually currently benching both Savinho and Guardiola, giving a little extra trust in United after the Bruno hangover. But actually Guardiola will come on for Gabriel, so that's kind of a.
Are you gonna make a transfer like Gabriel out?
No, not this week. Like it's not worth it. I think just wait till 32 and see. Because then I can be flexible whether it's 32 bench boost or 33 bench boost. But most likely I'll do Gabriel to Saliba or Timber in 32, and just play the bench boost that week. And then 33 I want to do Palmer to Saka and Isak to Watkins. And there I don't need to. That's why I wanted to bench boost 32, because otherwise I'll also have to do things like Murphy to Rogers, or like worry about Livramento playing Villa away. That's the plan right now.
Captaincy on Salah?
That I want to do Isak. Let's see the team news and injury situation. I don't think I'll do Palmer, even though it's Brentford. Like it's just been a little bit disappointing last few weeks. And I don't think I'll go Marmoush or Mateta. The fixtures aren't so good on paper like they were last week for them. It's either Salah or Isak.
Makes sense.
Cool. Moving on to your team.
So I played my wildcard just today on a whim, because I there were just too many flags all around, and initially I just wanted to save my transfer so that it carries over beyond the wildcard actually. So that my idea was wildcard in 32 and then get 2 free transfers for 33 to make some upgrades for the the bench boost, where I can get rid of 2 Newcastle players, for example. That was the initial idea. I feel like that would have worked out well. I would have got more double game week players that way. But if the team just didn't feel good, I didn't have triple Newcastle, for example. It was just been Zach. Maybe I would have had to I could have gotten a Livramento, missed out on Murphy, missed out on Saka. I don't know if he's going to start, but he looks good again. So I just thought of kind of just getting the team assembled again, a little bit short on cash. So I just just played the wild card. Team consists of Rea and Martinez in goal. Livramento, Saliba, Guardiola, Ruben Diaz, and Munoz. Got Ruben Diaz because it just felt like City don't have other defenders. The return date of Ake, Stones, and who's the other? They're all injured and out for they're out for like a month plus. So felt pretty confident Ruben is gonna play. He's played last 5-6 games in a row. So I went for the double defense rather than, because we saw City's defensive data being pretty good, rather than Savinho, who I feel like will get rotated in the double for sure. I just felt like Diaz has a higher chance of not getting rotated. So double defense there, double defense with Arsenal. Salah, Murphy, Rogers, Saka, Sarr in midfield. As much as I didn't want to play Sarr, I can only afford him. Can't get Eze. So that's the midfield and forward line of the most template forward line that you can imagine. Mateta, Isak, Marmoush. Right now, the team is structured in such a way that I don't know. Like, I'm keeping it flexible between bench boost and 32 or 33. I haven't made up my mind. And that I feel like it gives me a little bit of flexibility to, if injuries happen, to push things around, depending on kind of what happens in 31. But at the same time, I'm gonna take another look to see whether I can do something different here if I optimize a bench boost 32 or a 33 as compared to just keeping it very, very generic.
Makes sense. Yeah, the bench looks really good for this week itself, to be honest.
Yeah, I might actually also play Munoz instead of Guardiola. Not made up my mind on that. I feel like you said, it's a derby. Man United could get something from City, especially City could lose a clean sheet. Guardiola is not impressed too much from an attacking perspective. Munoz has.
Yeah.
So I might swap that around.
Makes sense. Cool. I guess all 3 teams are done with the wildcard suddenly. Yeah. So I think it's just last few weeks, and now the deadlines are all on the weekend and no international breaks. So I think 7 weeks to go. Let's see where we end up. Any last words, Vikas?
Best of luck for everyone. Hope you all have a good weekend, and wish everyone a green arrow and a strong end to the season.